We are about to launch Stingray.
I am Titan, leader of the underwater city of Titanica.
Good. That should make the secret of the Taj Mahal safe with me.
Stand by for action.
That submarine bursting through the ocean depths. That theme song you can still hum 4 decades later. If those images just triggered something deep in your brain, you're in the right place.
Here's something wild. This show was filmed entirely in color, before most British families even owned a color TV. Today we're diving deep into the secrets behind Captain Troy Tempest, the mysterious Marina, and that incredible nuclear-powered submarine. These are 10 shocking facts about Stingray that'll make you see this groundbreaking series in a whole new light. Let's start with number 10.
Gentlemen, it has been established beyond reasonable doubt that this was no normal act of war.
Number 10. The secret language every Wasp agent knew. Ever wonder what the heck PWOR actually meant? If you grew up watching Stingray, you probably remember Wasp personnel barking that crisp, official-sounding phrase whenever they received orders. It sounded so authentically military, so futuristic and cool. Kids across America and Britain tried using it on their parents. Spoiler alert, it didn't work. The acronym stood for Proceeding with Orders Received. Simple, efficient, and brilliantly authoritative. Gerry Anderson and his team understood something important about world building. Those small details, the throwaway jargon and procedural language, made the World Aquanaut Security Patrol feel like a real organization. It's the little things that stick with you, right? That phrase probably rattled around your head for years without you ever knowing its meaning. Now you do. And trust me, the secrets only get wilder from here.
All final details to be left to Aquanaut Commander Shore.
Okay, sir, leave it to me.
Number 9. Marineville's incredible disappearing act. The headquarters of the Wasp could literally disappear underground. Think about that for a moment. Marineville was more than just a fixed base with high-tech gear and military personnel milling about, looking serious. When danger threatened, whether it was from hostile undersea cultures or aerial attacks, the entire base could be lowered into underground bunkers using massive hydraulic jacks. The entire base. Buildings, launch platforms, everything. Poof. Gone. While this incredible defensive system sank into the earth, fighter planes and interceptor missiles would launch to deal with whatever danger had set off the alert system. It was a defensive system on a scale that made James Bond's toys look like kids' play. Many fans who watched the series when it first aired may have forgotten this aspect of Marineville. But watching the base disappear into the earth while countermeasures launched, that was a spectacle that made Stingray seem like it was truly cutting edge. And speaking of things hiding beneath the surface, just wait until you hear what was really going on with Marina.
Try and get a move on, Fisher. I want those routine reports dealt with before tonight.
Number 8. Marina's hidden secret, the curse of silence. She could speak. She just couldn't. For the entire length of the television series, the stunning Marina never once opened her mouth to speak a word. She spoke with gestures, with facial expressions, and with those incredible eyes. Most fans assumed that she was simply mute, perhaps a trait of her mysterious undersea background. But no, the truth was much worse. An audio play called Marina Speaks was also included, and it held a terrible secret. Marina could speak. Her entire species could speak. But there was a terrible curse on her people, laid down by the tyrannical King Titan. If any of her people said one word, another member of her civilization would die. What a terrible curse to bear. Every time Marina wanted to warn Troy of an impending attack, tell him how she felt, or simply greet him, she had to consider that someone might die. That's not a communication barrier, that's a tragedy. The writers of the show hid this terrible pathos behind all the fun and games of the underwater adventures. And as for King Titan, wait until you hear who inspired his look.
Good. That should make the secret of the Taj Mahal safe with me.
Number 7. King Titan, the underwater despot who worshipped a fish. The villain was inspired by a legendary actor. His god was a giant fish. King Titan was the ruler of Titanica with an iron fist and a seriously intimidating scowl. That scowl, those aristocratic features, that presence, the puppet masters took direct inspiration from a young Laurence Olivier. Yes, that Laurence Olivier, one of the greatest actors in the history of cinema, transformed into a tyrannical underwater ruler. But here's where things get weird. Titan kept a giant fish named Teufel in a tank inside his throne room. He didn't just keep it as a pet. He worshipped it as a god, believing it to have magical power. A Shakespearean despot with a Shakespearean look, bowing down before an oversized aquarium decoration. The minds behind the series knew that great villains require great quirks. Titan had the seriousness and the ridiculousness that made him a character to remember. And his heroic counterpart? Also taken from Hollywood royalty.
Now, Captain Troy Tempest, your trial will commence.
Number 6. Captain Troy Tempest, modeled on a Hollywood heartthrob. That square jaw came from a very specific source. Captain Troy Tempest was all that a hero should be in the 1960s. Brave, handsome, decisive, and always ready to save the day. However, the design of his puppet form was not simply the product of imagination. Gerry Anderson specifically asked his sculptors to model Troy after Hollywood leading man James Garner. Consider that for a moment. Garner, hot off Maverick and on his way to movie stardom, was the model for the television's most handsome puppet hero. Those rugged features, that confident look, that all-American charm, all borrowed from a real-life star to help flesh out the character. It was a shrewd move, even if the actor was made of wood and twine. Anderson knew that audiences crave familiar tropes. By making Troy as handsome as a real-life Hollywood star, he made a hero who was at once fantastical and strangely believable. The detail did not stop at character design, however. The series itself was a testament to cleverness. Number 5. The revolutionary puppets that could actually act. These were no granddad's marionettes. Stingray brought about revolutionary changes to Supermarionation that made the characters seem more real than anything that had been experienced before. For the first time in any of Anderson's productions, puppets sported realistic glass eyes that sparkled with light in the studio setting. They also had hands that could be moved to make gestures other than grasping. Most revolutionary? Interchangeable heads. The production team produced several versions of each of the principal characters' heads with different expressions: neutral, smiling, frowning, and concerned. These heads could then be swapped from shot to shot to give the puppets a genuine emotional expression, turning wooden faces into something approaching real acting. This was no longer puppetry. This was character animation, decades before the term even existed. The technical prowess required to achieve such innovations was breathtaking, and the cost to match? Absolutely, utterly, and completely astronomical for 1964 television.
Bones? Bones!
Number 4. A £1 million gamble. The staggering cost of underwater adventure. This children's series cost more than most feature films. The production of Stingray was one of the most ambitious and costly ventures in British television history. The entire series cost £1 million. In today's terms, that's approximately £26 million. Each individual half-hour episode cost £20,000 to produce. To put that into perspective, you could purchase a decent house in 1964 Britain for under £3,000. AP Films was investing nearly 7 houses per episode in a puppet series. The elaborate sets, the custom-built models, the groundbreaking special effects, and the full orchestral scores. Every element required an outlay of money that most producers would consider utterly, completely, and totally insane for a children's series. But Gerry Anderson was no ordinary children's series producer. He was a cinematic spectacle miniaturist, and that was reflected in every single frame. And talking of spectacle, the underwater scenes required some seriously clever trick shots.
Hey, where's Phones? Where is he? Why don't you answer me?
Number 3. The underwater scenes were completely dry. Not a single drop of water touched those puppets. While Stingray featured adventures in the most extreme ocean environments, the vast majority of its underwater footage was shot entirely dry in a studio. Submerging fragile puppets in real water would have been catastrophic to the electronics and impossible to control. But the production team was resourceful. Very resourceful. They erected scale models of ocean floors against painted cycloramas and effectively flew the puppets and submarine models across the set on wires strung from overhead gantries. But here's the brilliance. They filmed all this action through thin aquariums placed between the camera and the set. The aquariums were filled with vegetable dye and live tropical fish. The dim filtered light muddled the image just enough to produce believable underwater effects. Real fish swimming past fake submarines past real puppets suspended in midair. It was so believable that no one questioned it for generations.
Your people tried to destroy this palace by water.
Number 2. Marina, the Mute Mermaid. Inspired by screen sirens, her silence was practical. Her looks were calculated. The lovely Marina quickly became one of the most popular characters in Stingray. Her enigmatic presence, her elegant movements, her incredible eyes. But her inability to speak was not a storytelling choice. Co-creator Sylvia Anderson created the character as a mute so that Sylvia could take a break from voice acting. She wanted to focus on writing and character development rather than spending all day in the recording booth. So Marina was mute. Problem solved. However, her look was purely deliberate. The puppeteers specifically designed Marina after the great actresses of the time. She was directly compared to Ursula Andress and Brigitte Bardot in her day. That sexpot look, the exotic beauty, the sultry presence, all of it designed to make a puppet truly glamorous. And it succeeded. Marina received actual fan mail. For a puppet, that's star power.
I am Titan, leader of the underwater city of Titanica.
Number 1. The world's first color TV series that nobody saw in color. The future was filmed in a way that almost nobody could view in color. The most astonishing thing of all is this. Stingray is a series that proudly proclaims itself to be the first British television series to be produced entirely in color. Every episode was shot on expensive color film stock, which demanded expensive equipment and complicated lighting rigs. The kicker is this, however. Most British viewers watched it in black and white. Color television had not yet been introduced in British homes. The technology was available, but the programming was not. Why go to such expense to produce a color series? The answer is simple. America. Color television was already common in American homes. Anderson and his financiers had an international vision for Stingray, one that was geared towards export sales. British children saw gray submarines and black and white explosions, while their American cousins saw the whole colorful shebang. The series was simply too advanced for the country that produced it. It was literally ahead of its time. If that's not the ultimate metaphor for entertainment, then nothing is.
I can't tell, it's too far off. It's gaining rapidly.
Bonus fact, a groundbreaking finale. Troy Tempest, Aquanaut of the Year. The series introduced the clip show finale. Stingray ended with a special finale called Aquanaut of the Year, a type of episode that had never been done before in any of the Supermarionation series. Captain Troy Tempest was awarded for his bravery in all his adventures throughout the series, reliving old episodes through special flashbacks. It was basically a greatest hits album in disguise as a story. Troy getting the award while the audience got to relive their favorite episodes from the entire series. It was a celebration, a nostalgic trip, and an economical use of storytelling all at once. This would become a standard procedure in television series many years later, but in 1965, it was revolutionary. Stingray was not only a color series and a puppet series with innovative puppetry, it was the first series to introduce the clip show finale. From puppets with changeable facial expressions to a production budget of £1 million, from fish-worshipping bad guys to Hollywood heartthrobs, Stingray was chock full of secrets hidden beneath its artificial waves. This was no ordinary children's television series. This was a technological wonder, a risk-taking production, and a true piece of television history. The Andersons took risks that most producers would not even attempt to take, and they accomplished all of this with strings, models, and vegetable dye. Until next time, stand by for action. Anything can happen in the next half hour. PW.